Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another fun-filled, action-packed version, WrestleZone Unfiltered, episode 22. And we're lacking a little bit this week. We were supposed to continue the draft part, but we'll see if Connor and Meaty can jump in here in a little bit and maybe finish that towards the end. But as always, with me, to hell with Bret Hart, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, the greatest professional wrestler that Canada has ever produced, the one and only Paul Rogers. Paul, how you doing tonight, buddy?
My legs hurt.
Oh,
that's it. That's the.
Did Natty tie you up in the dungeon?
I did 600 squats yesterday.
How many did you do today?
So
how many did you do today?
Well, 0, because you got it.
Okay, so you're trying to flex on old shit. You know, we're not worried about what happened yesterday. We're worried about today.
You saw right through me. Okay, fair enough.
And Danny, our wrestling diva from right in the Midwest, back with us again. Miss Danny, good to see you. How are you?
Good. I got my new specs. I love it. I haven't confused any deer with mailboxes, and I haven't run into any walls, so we're good with the new glasses.
Yeah, I got mine looked at a few weeks ago, and I've still yet to order any glasses because the last pair they gave me was, I don't even know what the hell you call them, but the ones where you're supposed to look up to do one thing and look down and do the other, and they just confused me. And I was like, nope, I ain't wearing these damn things. So we'll see things. I told us, y'all got to split them up for me, man. I need some to drive and some to read, and if not, we'll keep playing Russian roulette with whatever I'm doing. So we're gonna jump right into it. We were talking a lot of stuff off the air while we were waiting to see if anybody else was going to join us this evening. And, yeah, I know, man. I mean, 11 minutes late. We're not doing too bad, but we went from. And we're going to talk about all this shit. We got all in coming up. We've got not all in shit. Forbidden Door coming up. Stuff that happened last night on Dynamite. But Karrion Kross, is a work or is a shoot? And WWE's counter programming. And Danny said she's got the article ready to go. So, Danny, lead us off with that article, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. So, again, this is coming. This was posted MMA, or Pro Wrestling and MMA News posted it on socials, and it's Uncle Dave's buddy, Brian Alvarez. And he basically was just saying that he shared his take on WWE's counter programming against AEW, emphasizing the motivations, and quote unquote for Brian Alvarez, I was messaging somebody today. They're in with WWE. They also don't believe that this is being done to hurt AEW's business. They believe this is done strictly because WWE is petty and they want to screw with Tony Khan, and that's it. Alvarez agreed with the assessment, and he added, quote unquote, I believe that as well. Maybe there are people there that actually think you're taking business away from AEW, but I don't buy that one bit. I think it's truly that they are just being petty. They're trying to mess with Tony, and that's why we're doing this. So then there's a big thing that, fans do have to make choices. Do we do WWE? Do we do AEW? And I'm actually one of the fans that has had to choose between the two. And apparently Alvarez also pointed out that fans make choices between events probably won't be swayed, saying, quote unquote, do I really think that anyone's not buying World's End because they're going to watch John Cena's final match for free? No, if you want to buy World's End, you're going to buy it. Alvarez concluded this by saying a blunt assessment of WWE's strategy. Are they doing it to be irritating? Yes, that's why. So that's the story.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, they're doing it to be irritating. Yeah.
I agree.
At least there's a little bit of sort of admittance of that. I don't know. I think that's horribly toxic in general for the wrestling community. Like, we're already a big enough niche as it is. Do we really need to attack each other and tear each other? You know what I mean? Like, everybody's so struggling. But there are a little bit of some harsher statements that have been made. Let's say an observation that's been made is some people in the WWE don't like AEW because AEW is paying quite a bit of money for talent, and WWE could view that as, ooh, now we have to pay these people way more than we could have before because we were the only people in town. So there's a little, there's a few things floating around that kind of, doesn't sit well with a lot of people.
Danny?
That's an interesting point that Alvarez made because, again, you have to choose one or the other. And, we were in that position with a couple different things, that came up. Obviously, one of them, of course, was All Out in 2023 versus Survivor Series 2023. We already know what happened in 2021, 2022, and 2023. And we know that the Cucamonga Children's Center are the reason why Punk left, and they created the circumstances why Punk left and was back to WWE. So we were just like, okay, which one?
I'm just going to jump in and say Adam Page started that shit. Leave the.
Thank you. Cucamonga Children's Center and friends. Thank you.
Are not innocent bystanders, but Page got that going. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So, hi, Uncle Dave. Hi, backyard babies. Oh my God, do you want to be pro wrestlers? Go to Chicago. CM Punk will show you how. Anyway, or better yet, go talk. Paul can even show you how to do it. So, we had that decision to make between, again, Survivor Series 2023 and All Out 2023. We chose AEW. And we were just talking about that the other day, that we regret not going. And I was sitting in my sister's I was laying in my sister's living room. It was obviously Thanksgiving weekend. And I was like, oh my God, I literally dropped the phone. I wish we would have went, but it's okay. Yet the price I think for a lot of people, are the tickets for WWE events, which are astronomically much more than you would get for AEW.
Yeah, that's actually
all right.
Fairly good top.
I'm going to do this and try to sound like a little as dick as possible.
He's trying.
Stop your fucking bitching. I've been dealing with this shit since 1983.
That was something I did want to bring up. Like,
and when he took the WWF National, he tried to crush everybody. What did he do to Jim Crockett? Jim Crockett ran Starrcade 83, and then WrestleMania happened. So, people look back, they don't understand what the wrestling business used to be like. The holidays where it's big time, big money. People would come out on Thanksgiving night. They would come out on Christmas night. Starrcade was on Thanksgiving. It was on a Thursday, people. Deal with it. Well, what did Vince McMahon do? He created the Survivor Series and gave it away for free on the USA Network to go head to head with the next Starrcade. And we know what Survivor Series has turned into. Then he went to the cable companies and said, if you air his shit, you're not going to air mine. We're not going to give you rights to WrestleMania. And so you go down, and Crockett was spending all that money when they were on fire. And, they said a million times he had been a better businessman. They could have probably made it work, but he wasn't. And so he had to wind up selling to Turner. We have been doing this shit for so long, and people want to complain about competition. WCW and the WWF's product. Now, it was different, but the WCW's opening card with the cruiserweights, fucking phenomenal. The WWF's main events, phenomenal. You flip-flop them. The WCW main events sucked because you had Piper and Hogan and Nash and Hall. And I won't say Scott Hall, but, Kevin Nash and his 5 moves of doom, the finger poke of doom. You get it. You had the older guys in the main event, and Flair was, out of the older guys, was the only one that could still go.
But didn't Nash, though, have 5.5 moves of doom instead of 5?
It depends on what finger he was using.
Yeah, we know what you mean. Like, there's always been,
or maybe it was a 5. Was it 5 3/4?
Maybe 6. We'll get it 6 on a good day.
Slightly tangent off your point, but to kind of hammer it in, I think some of the frustration is that that's what Vince did. Yeah, we know.
Let me finish. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And then WCW flipped the script because Turner had all that money, and they could have put a show on any night of the week they wanted. He owned 6 different networks. They could have put that son of a bitch on CNN if they wanted to for 2 hours. They decided not to. They decided Ted Turner, wasn't Eric Bischoff. It was Ted Turner that said, give Eric 2 hours each week on Monday night. It was their decision to go head to head with WWE. Mm-hmm. And we got the best product, the best 5 to 6 years of a wrestling stretch that we'd had in a long time. And when WWE bought WCW, their product did a straight downhill because they didn't have anybody else to answer to. Now, if Tony wants to complain and bitch, which I heard him say something one time. Somebody asked him about something a few years back, and he's like, well, that was Jim Crockett, and I got a whole lot more money than Jim Crockett. We're not going to put up that fucking shit. Great, good for you. That's the attitude to have. Go full-fledged, go for it. And he did the right thing. You know, they can't move the time of Saturday night's main event. So if they're putting a Saturday night's main event up against your pay-per-view, move the fucking time and shut up. When they did it the last time, that damn pay-per-view lasted till after 9 o'clock. It was a 6.5 hour pay-per-view. And God bless the people that was in the arena, because I couldn't do it. I would be itching to get out of the damn arena for 6.5 hours.
I would have needed coffee and lots of it.
And you know, coming up, you know, and I'll be honest with you, as a fan, you know, you go, you know, one of you guys said it. I don't know. I'm on a rant right now.
No,
But
fair enough. Go ahead.
if there's an AEW pay-per-view that's going to cost me $49.95, or I can just watch the WWE for free, if it's going to have to be something on AEW side that really, 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 really makes me want to see it, to spend that $50 versus what I can see for free. Now, granted, the AEW show might be better. AEW always has hella pay-per-views. Whether there's a story there behind it, their matches are always pretty damn good on the pay-per-views. And, you know, and then you got WWE running, you know, a 4 to 6 match pay-per-view card, depending on what show you're getting and where it's at. So, you know, it's an easy decision depending on what, you know, money-wise, what do you base it on? Are you a diehard AEW fan that you're going to spend that $50 and say, the hell with the WWE? If you want to do that, that's fine. You want to be like me and be cheap and make them put on a card to get your $50? Like, they're going to get my $50 for Forbidden Door. You know why? Edge and Christian last night. I mean, that's the only damn match I want to see. I mean, I'm sure that.
No,
I'm sure,
so that's it.
and don't get me wrong. There's some other matches on there that'll be interesting. There'll be good matches. I think Okada and Swerve had a good match. I'm purely disgusted with the Page and MJF stuff. We can talk about that on Forbidden Door. But, you know, I want to see Edge and Christian. I want to see how they look together for the first time in 15 years, because I don't think they've teamed together since Edge has been back, you know, since he came out of retirement. But that's what I want to see. And I don't even know what the hell WWE's putting on that night. Don't care. I want to see Edge and Christian. You know, so again, the competition has been around for years. The wrestling business has been petty since its inception. And to me, the people bitching and moaning and complaining about it are the same pussies in life that we deal with on a daily basis that want to bitch about every fucking thing that happens to them in life instead of getting up and doing something about it. You know, stop your bitching, watch what you want to watch, and call it a fucking day. Damn.
Well, okay, so there are elements to that argument that are let's say a little less hostile.
Oh my god, I can't right now.
It is sort of like saying, oh, Britney Spears and Slipknot, okay, dated references, are having a concert in the same town on the same night.
You know what? Britney might be older, but I'd still slip her or not. Continue.
So with WWE and AEW, I would say about 60-75% of people who would watch both already have a favorite. They just watch both casually. So if push comes to shove, they have their genre. Like some people would die to see Britney Spears or the Spice Girls again. Me, who cares? But I also have other bands that I would kill for to see come back. You know what I mean? So some people complain that it's like, oh, it's throwing your money around or whatever, but it's like most of us have already made our pick. Like, I haven't watched Raw or SmackDown in years now, so to me it's not a competition because I only watch the one side of it, right? So to see Jason's point with a little less,
it's like this for me. You know, we'll football season is about to happen, and Danny is a native Chicagoan. Let's take the Packers versus the Bears. If you're a Packers fan, you're not going to go out and spend $150 on a Bears jersey, and vice versa. So the wrestling business and wrestling fans are so goddamn fickle. You know, it's like Marvel versus DC. You like one, you don't like the other. You like one, but you like one better. And you don't hear people.
I've never seen a DC movie to help your point.
You get my point. You don't see this kind of stuff
trying to help.
Anywhere else but the wrestling business. I mean, look at networks. They show the same shit. ABC, CBS, NBC. You've got your Chicago Hope and Fire and blah, blah, blah. You know, your Law and Order type shows, NCIS. I mean, all through the networks. And you got your your views and your other kind of political bullshit news shows. And I mean, it's all they're competing.
I think they're called. Yeah.
They're competing. I mean, speaking of competing, UFC just signed a deal with Paramount, and their pay-per-views are going to be completely free with that. They're not making you do like WWE and ESPN are going to do and get something separate. The UFC pay-per-views starting next year on Paramount are going to be absolutely free, every single one of them, because the UFC signed like a $5.9 billion deal. So much for ESPN and Disney not having a whole lot of money. We'll see who they lay off now. But I mean, it is, again, like you said, Paul, most people have a favorite. Me personally, I don't. I'm a wrestling fan, and I watch them both casually. Nothing that there's been, the bloodline really kind of sucked me in there for a while. It got a little mundane toward the end, and then it picked back up with a little bit. With the whole thing with Cody Rhodes at the end, WrestleMania 2 years ago, 40, I guess. That kind of sucked me in for a little bit, and I was like, what now? But it's like I've been watching it so long that I want to be surprised. But the way they handled Seth Rollins, I like Saturday night's main event, the match, when he first got it, he just got up really quick after saying something to the referee. He ate that BFT from LA Knight and took the 1, 2, 3. That's when I'm like, damn, he might really be hurt. The way they helped him out of the arena and everything. But then, when you didn't hear any follow up with it, except that he was on a crutch with Becky, it's like, no, he ain't hurt. He's gonna cash his damn thing in. And then like when there was rumors online that Gunther was hurt, and he really played that off well at the match with CM Punk when he went through the table to come up with the blood on his, he took the blood from here and smeared it around his nose because he got to have some kind of septum surgery. He did well with that, and I'm like, here we go. Punk's holding the title. I'm sitting there looking at my watch going, all right, there it is. All right, Seth, come on out.
I was doing the same thing.
And, it's like, I want to be surprised. I mean, I am so glad the internet was just in its infancy when Scott Hall left and came to WCW. Can you imagine how far that gimmick would have went if everybody would have known that Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were coming to WCW? They think of them as workers, what you will. They were stars, period. And to get them to come over, and what they did, what WCW did, is the same thing AEW is doing. And the comparison of the two, if you stop and watch or look at the business model, yes, Tony might pay you more up front, but you also have to look at what he's done with certain talent. I mean, hell, look at Edge. I mean, has he really done anything with Edge? I don't think he has. But
not really, other than
that's an opinion from different people. But the WWE, if you stay there as a performer, it's your choice to go sign wherever you wanted. I mean, even Edge said, when he signed with AEW, he had both contracts sitting in his inbox, and he had to make a decision. That's a performer's prerogative. That's their decision. When you make a name for yourself, like a CM Punk or an Edge, keep going, whoever you want to talk about, you've earned that right. Just like an Aaron Rodgers, sign with whoever he wants to when his contract's up. No matter what the rest of the world thinks about him. And, but with WCW, there was no merchandise. They had to work that in with the contract with the NWO shirts when those took off. Just like with AEW, I'm sure AEW is given some kind of merchandise. But the WWE, it's so structured, and it has been for such a long time. It is a well-oiled machine when it comes to that. And that's not saying they're a better product or anything else. We're talking about behind the scenes. We've all heard what a clusterfuck AEW is behind the scenes. And there's been certain things that just show you that, that show you that's true. And,
backyard buffoons.
And they, you move forward with it, but look at all the figures they're putting out now. I mean, look at all these guys that haven't wrestled in 30 years that are making money again off residuals from what WWE's doing. Now, you don't have to like them as a company, but this is what, if you sign and you go over to AEW, you take a chance on, going over there really hot and heavy. And then a month later, you're off TV for 3 months. And out of sight, out of mind, like, oh yeah, he was here. I forgot about him. And like I said, the way they're doing it and structured it out, and they've been doing it for a while. I'll give you a prime example. When the Dudley Boys left, they got pissed off because they could not use the name of Dudley Boys. And Bubba Ray, he's told this story several times. He said that he was mad. He went to his lawyer and said, we were the damn Dudley Boys before we ever came there. Can we use our name? And he said, my lawyer looked right at me and said, we can go to court and you will probably win, but it's going to cost you a lot of money and you're going to piss them off. And Bubba Ray was like, Well, he said, looked at Devon. He's like, we got a great finish. How about Team 3D? And he said, so they went and made their money as Team 3D and collected all that money from WWE that was still selling Dudley Boy merchandise on their website. And, he said he still gets a check from them quarterly to this day. So AEW up front might give you more money, but until they've established themselves for the next 15 to 20 years and sustain that business model and get to where the WWE is, are you really making more money in the long run? And as far as the Young Bucks go, Danny, I'm not a big fan of them either. You know that, but this shit they're doing right now has me laughing my ass off. This has been the best stuff I think I've ever seen them do on AEW TV.
It is kind of semi-entertaining, to be honest with you. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? Am I turning in? Am I going from a Chicagoan to a Wisconsin girl? Oh my God, somebody please help me. Send me help. I'll give you my email address. But it is ridiculously entertaining because, my grandmother used to tell me when I was a kid that who you see on camera is part of who they are in real life. So, and she always said they were always laughing all the way to the bank. I never understood that. Obviously, my 7-year-old self didn't really understand, but it's just kind of like this Bucks thing is kind of funny to be, now that you mention it, because they're just making themselves a comedy act.
Well, the stuff they're doing with Justin Roberts, like last night when they came out with no music, they just got a little bit of pyro and whatever it was they put up on the board about him. And then he starts announcing, Josh Alexander and Lance Archer, and he goes, and teaming with these guys. And I just busted out laughing. I'm like, oh, this is fabulous. I mean, they are poking fun at themselves, and I'm enjoying it. It's like, okay, maybe they're not as serious as everybody thought. It's like everybody.
Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial here. Okay. So I think the people are slowly figuring out that the Young Bucks have actually been one of the best tag teams in the last 10 years. They're going, yeah, they are absolutely amazing at what they do.
Yeah, marketing. I mean, they do they're two guys in an office who wrestle down the street at the bar during happy hour and at the county fair during the summer.
It's like, these are guys that built an empire doing that when everyone else struggles to do that. Like, I think it's funny because they were so good at being dicks that everyone went, oh, they're bad wrestlers. But now that they're like not the heels, but semi-faces, they're like underdogs. People are like, hey, these Bucks.
No, all right. Let me be clear on something. Now, I've never said they were bad. They are a spot team. They're like, I'm sure you saw the match, but them and the Lucha Brothers in the cage that everybody raved about. Was it entertaining? Yes. It was a spot fest. And that's what it is. Me personally, that's what
they've been doing for years.
That's what I'm getting to. Me personally, when I talk about not liking the Young Bucks style, it's because I prefer the old school Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson versus, the Midnight Express or the Rock and Roll Express or, Ricky Morton selling for 15 minutes and looking out to the crowd and mouthing "help me" and almost causing a damn riot. Now, like I said, was the Lucha Brothers against the Bucks entertaining? Absolutely it was. Was it a wrestling match to me? No, not to me.
I would even help you on that. Now, I would even classify it more as like a video game match. Like get the item, do the spot, get the, like, it wasn't that slow it down, brother.
Well, and I'm also one that will admit that the stuff that I grew up on enjoying, that's why I point out a match here and a match there that I say that could hold up today, because there's not a lot. There's not, and it doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it, better. It's what we grew up on. I mean, there were some TV programs that, like when the Rock and Roll Express came in and beat the Russians for the tag team titles, that took up the whole hour on Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. And people are so damn ADHD and they want that instant gratification shit that it just wouldn't work today. I didn't think Michaels and Hart would work as an Iron Man match back then, because I thought people had done Evolved, so they didn't want to see a 45-minute to a 60-minute match. And to me, that's one of my favorite matches of all time. And people are like, what's an Iron Man match? You can walk away from it and come back at the end to see who wins. No shit, Sherlock, really.
That's like saying
it's the story being told between those 60 minutes from bell to bell.
If
And
you put on the last 30 minutes of Lord of the Rings, it's awesome. You can just watch that, but you don't get Boromir. You don't get, you know what I mean? Like, that's why you watch these long matches and enjoy them. But there's no patience for that. Even a 35-minute match, I don't think many people could sit through.
Well, and that, people talk about, Bruiser Brody and Abdullah when they would go at it years ago. And it's like, I don't know how that would hold up today. I don't know if people would really be able to watch the violence and get into it, or watch it and go, oh my God, that has no place anywhere in this kind of entertainment. I mean, just people get so damn offended about everything.
I'm gonna say something controversial again.
Oh no, don't do that.
Ready for it? We're talking about Abdullah the Butcher, and this is somewhat thing. The spot with Moxley and Hangman, the fork to the forehead. Everyone was upset by that, and I was like, I don't disagree with it. I got the point of why they did it. I know it was bloody and gruesome, but I was like, yeah, I'm not against it. I totally get what they're doing.
Yeah,
people hated that spot. Oh.
And people either haven't seen this, or they just didn't care to watch it, or they'll disagree with me simply to disagree, and that's okay too. Yeah, but fun. The best spot that I've seen on TV in the past 5 years was Chris Jericho and Nick Gage using the pizza cutter, picture in picture with a Domino's pizza commercial.
Apparently that was accidental,
if that was planned or if that was just perfect timing on the things that happened. But I caught that, and I laughed my ass off the whole commercial.
Oh,
we were like looking at that, like, what in the hell is this? Is this we had to rewind it because we weren't sure what the hell was happening, and sure enough, it was a pizza cutter. And I guess Nick Gage gave new meaning to, do you want your pizza in circles, squares, or Jericho?
I love there's someone called Nick Gage, a pizza cutter, where they said he's all edge and no point. And I went, oh man, that's so good. But okay, so to bring it all together, I also do agree that the Young Bucks matches are a bit like Abdullah the Butcher matches, where if you put one of them on the card, I'll enjoy it. Like, that'll be grand. If you put 3 of them on a card, that's when I start getting a little.
Well, see, that's, and this is where people will come at me, because that's kind of been my gripe with AEW as a whole. And I'll go back and, just a couple of different things. Like when Hangman said cowboy shit the first time, that he should have been the only one to say shit the whole night. But then you had Jericho come out a couple of segments later, shit this, shit that. And then you had Jade Cargill come out, cut the shit, Tony. And
I miss that Jade Cargill.
It takes away from the moment. It's like if you got somebody going through a table, but then you see it in 3 or 4 more matches right in a row, the spot just becomes as a body slam. You can't. And I think this is where Tony, hopefully he's learning something, but where he was inexperienced with that is being able to tell the performers, hey, look, I know you're X, whoever the hell you are, but I'm paying you, and I'm telling you, he's doing that tonight or she's doing that tonight. You can do it another time. We're not doing it on the same night.
In defense of Tony, I think that's production. What do you call them? Road agents. I think that's because when I'm in an event and I'm in the locker room, I can tell. Sometimes you can tell older wrestlers from newer wrestlers, because older wrestlers will walk around and go, hey, match I'm not in. What's the big spot you're doing? Oh, you're doing a top rope thing? Okay, cool. I'm not doing any top rope stuff. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're doing a table? Okay, I'm not doing any table stuff. No one's doing anything with chairs. I'm doing something with chairs. And that's how you kind of fill out, you know what I mean, the card.
No, I hear you, but if you listen to some of the older guys, even Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, who's been there, Jake Roberts, who's still getting paid by AEW, and who was the other one? Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn's still getting paid by AEW.
He's still
they
working.
They have all 4 said about the same thing. Say they've tried to help the younger guys, Adam Page being one of them, and they just look at them like, to hell with you. I know what I'm doing. They won't listen to them. So that's a Tony problem. That's a Tony issue. Hey, I'm paying these guys to help you. I suggest you listen if you want to stay on this side of the card and not go here.
Yeah. Okay. So
absolutely.
If it's a production manager coming to you and saying, don't fucking touch tables, and you touch a table, you should be punished. I don't know if punished is a strong word, but reprimanded, whatever. Like, there's that famous story of WCW where they're going to push what's his name off the cage and he's going to go through the floor, and they tell everyone, don't do any spots on the
Oh,
ramp.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Perfect, being the goofster he is, walks over and goes to body slam someone. Oh, my back. And they don't do it. Okay, that's funny. But if you ruin the main event like spot, that's huge. That's, inconceivably you're fired. That's it levels of a screw up.
Well, I think my biggest problem, and I kind of, took all that, and I won't say biggest problem, but, when I just really started shaking my head was the beginning of the end for CM Punk. And the reason I say that is, they created Collision for him to come back. That's been widely known. But you hear the story about, that he's told, and other people have told as well, of Jack Perry wanting to use real glass, and, different people telling him no, and he wouldn't listen. And then Tony Schiavone, when CM Punk got to the building, said, can you go take care of this? That should not have been on him.
Right.
There was already enough issues from the brawl and him coming back, so with the EVPs, with Kenny and the Bucks. So there's still some tension there. So that we're trying to let this die down, but you're going to send him, who you got your little clique of people over here who don't like him because of, whatever happened there, and send him to go tell Jack Perry something. I'm sorry, I don't know I know Tony's got a backstage role besides being an announcer, but why can't you take care of that? If you have some kind of,
it shouldn't be on talent to communicate with talent, right? Like, isn't that why you have Christopher Daniels? You have talent relation.
Talent to do that.
Dean Malenko's back there. I mean, you've got
Lynn, like
you've got a lot. You had Mark Henry back there. You had a lot of people. I think that
make Mark Henry tell him what to do.
Well, I mean, you had anybody do it, and
as
you're
nice
right.
as Mark Henry is, I mean, if you listen to his words, he's basically said it was a clusterfuck backstage, and that was one of the reasons he didn't re-sign. He said he was offered a new contract, and he didn't want to be there no more.
Well, Jason, you're right though. I mean, it shouldn't have been with the whole Punk thing, and I've said this numerous times, even here on the show and in the different groups, that Tony Khan royally effed himself with that whole situation. And I say that because you've got the Bucks who, have the backyard style of wrestling. Nobody knows who they are. I kept getting them confused, honestly, with the Briscoes. God bless Jay's soul. And because I couldn't remember who was who. And, I'd seen some of their work. They were in, TNA as Jen Me. What was that, like 20 years ago? There wasn't really much to them. And, people wondered, well, why don't you like them? I don't like them because they don't have any charisma. I also don't like them for what they did to Punk. And I think with Punk coming in, they were well aware of his star power. They knew that he was a bigger name than they were. They couldn't handle losing the spotlight. So what did they do? They put their buddy Page up to this, used JP to add to it. And everyone's like, well, Punk got himself fired for going after Tony Khan and shoving Jack Perry. He did not shove Jack Perry. Jack Perry went like this, elbowed him. Punk just said, look, I'm not going to deal with you. You're a little kid. I'm not going to do it. And it's almost like what you say that Tony Khan said, okay, I want you to deal with this, is almost like my line of work working in preschools where I would have another staff member deal with the situation that management should have dealt with.
Well, it was Tony Schiavone that asked him to do it, not Tony Khan. It was, I never really took sides in that thing until AEW aired the footage. I had heard the podcast or interview with that Punk did. I think it was with Ariel Wani, maybe, but whoever he did it with. And it was the first time he had talked about that incident. Just sit there and listen, and Phil can come across as very just, nonchalant, whatever, to the point, matter of factly. And I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay. And then, whatever, I guess that was the reason they decided to air the footage. And I said then, because we did a show right after that. I don't know if it was Talking Elite, if it was this, I think probably Talking Elite, doesn't matter. But I'm like, why the hell would you air that footage? Because that was damn near, if you put CM Punk's commentary from that podcast over that footage that AEW showed, it matched up perfectly. You just proved his point to everything he said. And like I've told Connor before, I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan, never have been. I think he's overrated. I think he has been for a long time. I saw Vince's point years ago when Paul fought for him, when he put him in that elimination chamber with Bobby Lashley in the Big Show. It's like, you want this little dude to win against these two big behemoths in an elimination chamber? And I'm like, I don't agree with Vince McMahon much, but I'm like, that one I see. So it's not a defense of CM Punk. It's like, just, it could be anybody in that situation if you brought in a big star. I mean, Edge is at the tail end of his career. He's not looking to wrestle 15 more years like Punk probably was. Punk was probably looking at, when he first entered AEW, about another 10 to 15 years of his career and ride out on a high note. And it didn't happen that way. Edge has come in and, basically done whatever, you want me to do this? Yeah, okay, I'll do that. He's made his name. He knows when he leaves that, and I've heard his contract is up next month, which is kind of surprising.
What was contract?
Edge's, Adam Copeland. I heard his contract is up next month. September 25th, I think, is the day I heard. And he had said when he signed this one that this was going to be his last wrestling contract. And, so if that's the case, he's not going to re-sign, or at least sign a couple month extension to ride this, Christian Cage storyline out. They go have to wrap this one up quick. We're going, for the next 4 weeks, we're going to see 4 to 5 weeks, whatever it is. We're going to have to see a lot of Edge and Christian over the next few weeks to get it all in before September 25th. And he knows when he leaves that there'll be the WWE waiting with open arms to sign him to a Legends deal, and he can make a few appearances here and there.
So that's what I was just I wanted to cut in with. I don't think AEW does anything like Legends deals because they are such a newer company. I think they still have Sting somehow employed. I could be wrong, but
yeah, it's their equivalent of a Legends deal. Is what Sting
they could open the door to that and put Edge, because if they bring Edge and Christian back and have one match, Edge and Christian, and then he loses his contract, why have the match if you're promoting merch you can't sell? Change his contract. Look, you'll have one big match and then you'll go to X amount a year. Because if he were to only work big shows, do multi-mans every so often, have them in like one of Royal, I was going to say Royal Rumble, but they do the Casino Battle Royal. Use him sparingly, make him a manager for some young talent. Like, that's not the worst contract, but it would be a completely different contract than what he has. Because I think he's working quite a bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he was there when he first came in, but then then he actually legit got injured, and he came back from that, and then
he's
done a couple of injury angles to where that was, God bless him, because he laughed about it. He was like, yeah, my mind says that I'm still 25 and I get up there and do that, and my body says the hell you are. And he was funny when he was talking about it, but he seems like a very nice, down to earth guy. He really does. Christian comes off as a smug asshole, but then when you see him off camera and he's actually doing an interview out of character, they seem a lot alike. You see why they've gotten along so well over the years.
Speaking of counter programming, WWE is doing the like Undertaker, Dead Man podcast in the ring and all that. They're kind of promoting that. Hey, if AEW had the Edge and Christian podcast, where
that was great. Yeah, that was great years
around
ago.
With some of the locker room in the back, like an up, down, down kind of thing. Like, let them have their Legends deal. Give them young people that need time in front of the mic. Let them do silly things. You know what I mean? I feel like there's meat on the bone there.
Well, I agree. They were great when they did their podcast. My two favorite podcasts, this might surprise you. One's still going, and of course that's Jim Cornette. And if you can listen to Cornette without getting your balls in an uproar, he's funny.
You take a little twist.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll give you an example. Paul, you weren't on here when we talked about this. When Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy, not Jeff Hardy, well, it might have been Jeff Hardy. Yeah, it was.
That would have been a great match.
Did that Texas death match, or with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre match? Do you remember that?
Texas
Chainsaw match, when the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie came out, and Jeff Hardy and Jeff Jarrett did the match for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre title.
No, I don't remember this.
You have to go back and
look
look
that I don't remember either.
This feels like a COVID thing.
It might have been. It might have been, but When one of y'all start talking, I'll look it up. But
sorry.
Now Cornette just tore it up, man. I mean, it was fake chainsaw noises because they had they had Leatherface come down with a chainsaw, and I forgot who it was dressed up like Leatherface, but there was no blade on the chainsaw, and they had the noise playing through the speakers, and he never got in the ring to try to hit somebody with it, but just like chasing somebody with it. And of course, Cornette did what Cornette does, and he shit all over it. I mean, he just tore it up one side and down the other. Well, then I heard an excerpt from Jeff Jarrett's podcast, who is, if you want some informative stuff, that's a great one to listen to. Jeff's very matter of fact, tells business sides of the story with his dad, WCW, but nor here nor there. But Conrad goes off on this tangent about telling Jeff just how bad Jim Cornette ran this down. And when Conrad finally got done, Jeff said, "So Jimmy didn't like the match, huh? Go figure." And he goes, "That doesn't make you mad?" He said, "All right." He goes, I'm not trying to kill Jimmy's gimmick here, but let's talk about it for a minute." He said, if Jim comes on his show and talks about how much he likes something, what's his audience going to go do? They're going to go watch it. He goes, now when Jimmy comes on and talks about how bad he despises something and how bad it was and what a train wreck it was, what's his audience going to do? They're going to go watch it to see if it's as bad as he said it was. He goes, Jimmy, I know what you're doing. Keep it up, brother. I appreciate you. But then, this one will surprise you because I was kind of sad when it went away, was JBL and Michael Cole. They talked about, they talked about wrestling, of course, but they talked about, and they weren't taking one side or the other. They talked about political stuff going on in the world, just different news events going on in the world, and wrestling. And it was just, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought they had great chemistry on the announce team and in the podcast. And then for some odd reason, it just abruptly stopped. So, but yeah, those are my two favorites to listen to. And I do enjoy Jeff Jarrett as well.
I don't trust a word out of any of those veterans' mouths nowadays.
Oh no. I mean, everybody's wanting to, everybody's wanting to stay on top and, stay in the spotlight and limelight. But, you talk about that, and that's why Ric Flair won't do a podcast. Every time he's tried, he's so damn emotional and he gets all of his feelings that when he says something or he gives his opinion on something, and you got all these online trolls that come back at him and chirping back at him for his old man opinion or whatever, he takes it personal. And so, the 3 times Flair's tried to do a podcast, I mean, I think the most it lasted was like 4 months. He gets pissed off and he stops.
Well, he's probably drinking as he's talking. So, I mean, let's remember, this is the guy that spilled more liquor on one side of the world to the other compared to Buddy Landell. I mean, he never could keep the Gators down.
There's also been plenty of people that told Flair stories about how he liked to see other people drunk and that he would order shots and he would be the one pouring his into the plant beside the bar, the plant beside the table as he's watching everybody else get hammered.
Oh, God. I mean, remember,
we got off on a tangent. All right. So
he couldn't keep the Gators down, and it was just his dancing on Nitro that was doing. And we're watching Nitro straight through, and I think we're up to March of 1997 now.
Well, as big a Flair fan as I was, whatever you want to call it, when Vince Russo came along and they started doing that shit, I was at when they shaved his head, and I was like, you've got to be shitting me. He actually let them shave his head. Are you kidding me? Ric Flair of all people. But when Vince Russo, context, came in, just between the mental hospital and the shaving of the head, it's just like,
I don't remember.
What are you doing?
No, that was like 99, 2000, I think.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And then on top of that,
we're halfway through. And fun fact, the part of Nitro we're on, Braun wasn't even born yet.
Well, we'll get to Braun in a second because I glossed over that. I went off something else. But, with that same era was Judy Bagwell on a forklift match, Viagra on a pole match. It's like, somebody just needed to go in there and just knock Russo the hell out. Give it to Sullivan or give it to JJ, give it to somebody. It might be some boring old time wrestling that we got on TNT then, but it would have been better than dumb shit Vince Russo was putting on. But you bring up Braun Breaker. Did anybody watch Raw Monday night?
That was the funniest. That was the.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah, 40 plus 47.
Yeah, Paul, you missed that.
I know what you mean. What are you guys, like 100?
Well, no, they did. There was the stuff going on at the end, and you had all of them up there in the ring, and Braun coming down. He's screaming up at Punk, "You're 47 years old. What the hell do you think you're gonna do to me? I'll kill you." I'm like, so yeah.
And then LA Knight's 40, and the only thing I finally figured out Bronson Reed's purpose in life is to pretend like he can wrestle while wearing sneakers around his neck.
Look, he looks really good since he came back to the injury.
I don't see the appeal of Braun excuse me, my word. I don't see the appeal of Bronson Reed. If you want to bring somebody into Seth Rollins' group, can we please get Ethan Page called up? This is like a battle for my soul between Ethan Page and Ricky Saints. I don't know who to pick. I don't know what to do. But we need to get Ethan Page called up to the main roster.
The funny thing is,
with Seth.
The funny thing is, the only thing I could say to hey, if you want to know how good Bronson Reed is, it's go watch his feud in another company. That's because he had great matches with Okada and stuff like that. But as soon as he came to WWE, they were like,
they wanted him down.
Slow it down. Why take him then?
I just wonder now, are the sneakers going to serve as tag team partners in the match?
Look, there's one thing about Bronson Reed.
Let's say you've got an 8-man tag match. Okay. Now, are Bronson Reed and Braun going to tag the shoes in? And what part did the shoes play in an 8-man tag?
Well, for anybody that watched WCW back in the late 90s and watched Mark Madden on commentary, I do my best Mark Madden every time that Bronson Reed climbs to the top rope, and Paul, do you know who Mark Madden is?
Yes, he's the salesman, TV salesman.
Yeah, he does something in Pittsburgh like that, but sports wise. But Mark Madden is not a small man, all right. And I don't mean he always wore the
Hawaiian shirt. Oh, I'm confusing Mark Madden with the guy from TNA. Yes, I remember.
No, you're talking about Don West. That's who you're talking about.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Mark Madden, he's he does something sports in the Pittsburgh area. He got on the announce team. He was not a small man. And when I say not a small man, I don't mean like a Road Warrior or a Sid Vicious. We're talking about Earthquake, Typhoon type, not a small man. And when Hugh Morris and a couple other of the big guys would get on the top rope, this fat fucker would stand up from the announce position with his headset on and start acting like he was swimming, yelling, "Fly, fat ass, fly," verbatim. And every time
this was on Nitro.
Yes. And every time Bronson Reed gets on the top rope, all I can hear in my head is Mark Madden, and I start screaming, "Fly, fat ass, fly."
I want to go to a WWE show and hold up a sign that says, in the words of Mark Madden, "Fly, fat ass, fly, hi Jason, hi Paul." Now I want to go to a WWE show.
So here's the thing that they did in New Japan. I don't know if you guys would like it. So when they would do the announcing and 200 pounds, blah, 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 and they call his name, he would do a big stomp and the camera would shake like this, like an earthquake, and then cut in tight for the shot. Is that silly, or is that something WWE should have done? Like a sumo boom. Because I feel like that's what they did with Earthquake, right? Like he would do the stomp and and they sell the shake. I always thought that's something that they missed on.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things they missed on.
That little bit when he comes in.
Y'all talk. I'm trying to find something here.
Okay.
It's like, Forbidden Door.
No.
Okay. All right. I can talk about.
Or you did say you wanted to talk about MJF and Hangman, and I haven't seen why that would be a large topic. So I would love to hear. Oh, you're still searching. So
no, I can talk about it. I can.
Okay.
Because they have thrown it together really quick.
Okay.
It's not like if MJF would have just won, a match that got him a shot at the world title, at the next pay-per-view. I wouldn't. That's fine.
Mhm.
But he's got the money in the bank briefcase, per se, however you want to word it, the contract. And they could have played that out for a long time. And not whichever one of them loses at this pay-per-view, it's actually going to hurt them. Page just won the title after his 2-year story of, I'm so down, Swerve broke into my house, you boring fuck. And then you got MJF.
Chasing Mox and the nerd who can't see because his hair is so long and he tries to be cool when he should be with the math club.
And then you got MJF, who hadn't had the world title in a while, and just whatever crap that was with the Hurt Syndicate they just did that was in and out in 3 weeks. I mean,
really, I thought it was 30 seconds.
It seemed like it, but so I mean, it just seems thrown together in a quick manner for him to when you've I didn't like the way Christian executed his contract either, but at least they drew it out and he would hold it up and he would come out during, the world champion being up there in the ring, getting beat up, kind of selling it a little bit, going, I could do this right now if I wanted to. And he carried it on. And then it was kind of a popcorn fart when he actually did it. But regardless, he sold it for a while. And now, MJF's cashing it in within, 90 days, 60 days, whatever it's going to be. And like I said, neither one of them need to lose right now.
Yeah, no, that's totally a fair argument because I think you're right. I think MJF can lose without losing some of what he's got. If Hangman loses right now, that's dead in the water.
Well, and it ruins Hangman's credibility, but then what does Max really have? I mean, this is a guy that has been so watered down, but doesn't need to be watered down. They do this big thing where he's in the Hurt Business just to put him in there. And it was 30 seconds he was there. Now he's out. But then would Max lose, come back with a certain fella that I like, who's been MIA for, 20,000 years? And rumor has it that Hammerstone's supposed to be on his way over. But that's been a rumor for a while.
So you're saying he should tag with Hook? No.
No.
Sorry, I misinterpreted that whole entire statement.
No,
Okay.
the gentleman that I always talk about.
Danhausen.
Be nice. And you're not the best Canadian wrestler. That's Ethan Page. Thank you, but I still love you. But no, what if, so Max loses, they bring him back. Well, then would he, have this feud against the Hurt Syndicate? Again, what was the purpose of Max going into the Hurt Syndicate to be gone, but then he loses, comes back with a vengeance, comes back with Wardlow, Hammerstone, and there's some other guy, Richard Holiday or something, that somebody said Tony should sign.
There's a lot of people that...
to reform, I mean, to reform the Pinnacle, basically.
Was it Tony? No, not Tony Nese. Wasn't it Tony Nese that was in the Pinnacle?
The AEW version?
AEW
I might be confusing different.
Was Max, Sean Spears, Wardlow, and FTR.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That Pinnacle.
But just, I mean, again, it seems thrown together to me. And, Max, that you're trying to build him back up after, that disastrous crap with Adam Cole. It is what it was. I mean, I'm not need rehashing that. And then you got the stuff, like I said, with the Hurt Syndicate. And now he wins, they kind of gave it away to me. That was another one that I'm just, okay, MJF's going to win this match. Go twiddle my thumbs for a minute, come back, and what happens? MJF wins the match. They had kind of given that away. But then, I was kind of hoping that they would give him the title that night. Because that, to me, if they would have given it to him that night, that would have continued Hangman's woe is me story. He finally gets his shining moment. Only to, kind of what they did with CM Punk. You know what I mean? Punk hadn't held a title in WWE in 12 years, I think they said, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman's finally beat Moxley. Somebody finally put down the Death Riders. Overcame all of those odds. He's got a tear in his eye. He's looking at the belt. He can't believe he won. And then you hear the you know, and here comes Max with a referee, signs a contract, hits him with something before he signs a contract, gives him the heat seeker, or you know, however he wants to beat him, and then you've got Hangman all back down in the dumps, and you know, walking around like a, you know, whatever, you know, unhinged talent in the back because he's so mad about how every time he thinks he's getting ahead, you know, he gets knocked back down. And that would have been the better story. But now you've carried it out, and like again, that's just my point behind it. I mean, neither one of them need to lose right now.
It's like the best thing you can do is, it's like the one thing you could do ruins the gimmick of earning the title shot, because you just do a storyline finish. We just have a bunch of bollocks come out at the end, and the heels attack both the MJF and Paige, and no contest too. But then, if you get no contest out of the briefcase, then you know what I mean? It just confuses simplicity. Keep it, you know what I mean?
I think we're all confused by the direction that, you know, AEW is going in. I mean, I'm completely like AEW's direction. It's like, what are we doing? Where's this going? What's going on with Death Riders? Like, they're still around. They're just kind of You've got this Max and Paige thing. You've got the what else have you got going on there? You've got Thumbtack, Thakla, I call her Thumbtack. She's boring to me, just much like a lot of people are there. You got Darby coming back. Oh, great. That's another one who I don't care for. So it's like, what role does Darby does a guy who, my nephew Jojo is actually bigger than Darby Allin, and he's only 12. So it's kind of like, you have all this going on. Where are they going with this? What's the payout? What's the direction?
I hear they want Darby as champ, but I love Darby, but at the same time, I don't want to see him as champ.
He doesn't, I don't know. There's just
keep him at the top, keep him floating around the top, give him lots of secondary belts, no problem. I think he's probably one of the more talented pillars out of the four, because he knows what he can do and what he can't do, and what he can do is bump. So he'll bump for you, which is huge because a lot of people won't bump for you.
Right.
So it's like, I could definitely see where some people would appreciate him. He's like a Spike Dudley that's got a bit more talent to him.
Now that you kind of mentioned that, I do agree. And then you've got Glass Boy, who's still sitting at home, that is supposed to come back. Glass Boy can stay gone. I don't care.
Jungle Boy's best work was when he went to New Japan and he was doing the House of Torture stuff. It was phenomenal because it was minimal heel work, very little. It's all cheating. It's all bullshit. It's all perfect. You know what I mean? That like Memphis style heel work is so simple to do, and he just comes off as a dick. It's easy to do, but now he comes back and he's not with House of Torture, and it's like, you're little, like he's good as a heel in House of Torture because House of Torture has a bunch of big lads standing in front of him, so he can be that wiry little slap you in the face and then stand behind the two Tongans. You know what I mean? If he doesn't have Evil, if he doesn't have these big lads, part of that dynamic.
And he's taller than Marco Stunt. Then again, I'm taller than Marco Stunt, but anyway.
So Jungle Boy is one of the four pillars that I go, yeah, I don't know so much about him. Like, as a minimalist heel, he's great, but on AEW,
as a big heel, he can't pull it.
It just doesn't sit the same. Put him in a faction, sure, but AEW can't book him that same way.
Do we have any idea when Luchasaurus is coming back? Do we know anything?
I haven't heard a word except that he's cleared, which, thankfully I'm glad he is, but no, I honestly thought he might get involved with the whole Christian Cage and family thing, but no, I have not.
Isn't he an older, like at 65 million years old, when you think about retiring anytime soon? Like, to be fair, I think that person playing that character is on the older side, so I could see them gearing down a bit because I know they
All
put a lot of work on Dark. That was a
All
lot.
right, all right. Paul, check the group chat so you can actually hear this.
Oh my god!
Go ahead and play it. You wouldn't let me put it in the comments, so I'll just let you hear it. Danny, you can see it too. It's in the group chat.
Okay.
That's so mean.
That's what I hear every time Bronson Reed goes to the top rope.
That's so mean. That's not how you put. Okay, you saying that in your home is funny. An actual professional saying that in their job, no.
I wish I could find the actual. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. To me, it shouldn't have been that hard to find. It should have popped right up. But
sorry for the interruption. You're right. Luchasaurus, the guy who plays him, is turned 40 this year.
Okay, so he's super young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say 40's old. Or
might hurt his feelings. Mine too, actually.
Well, and then the second thing too that I'm waiting for, Eddie Kingston.
I heard he's cleared too. So
I don't. Okay,
Yeah,
so from what I know, he's not cleared, but I could just totally be on.
I know he's training.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
We're contemplating World's End, but we're waiting to see if Dynamite is going to be in Chicago this year. But I don't see them hosting Dynamite Thanksgiving and then turning around and coming back a month later for World's End.
Paul, you can try to find it. I'll try to find it too. But to fully get why that clip makes me laugh is you have to see the one, because Mark Madden, like I said, he was not a small man. He's still in. And there was one clip, and he might have done it more than once, but his fat ass is wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt, this big Hawaiian shirt.
Were the shorts white or something?
Yeah, something like that. And
I remember. I'm visualizing it in my head.
Yeah, they put the camera on him as Bill DeMott's climbing to the top rope, and he gets up and he starts doing this with his headset on. It's like he's swimming, screaming, "Fly, fat ass, fly!" And to see that, and to see when the camera's on him and him doing that, dude, and that's the visual I get when I see Bronson Reed go to the top rope. I mean, so I can't believe I can't find that clip. But
now I'm gonna have to hold on.
I mean, that just.
No, I'm looking for it. Give me a minute.
As bad as WCW got toward the end, I always had Mark Madden and his smart ass commentary on different people to it's like he ain't wrong. And Bill DeMott was not, I mean, it wasn't like he was Bronson Reed or Yokozuna or something. I mean, he was 330 pounds, good sized guy, but he wasn't a fat ass in my opinion. But
oh, it's not coming up.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Damn, did they take it down?
Oh yeah. Oh, that hurts.
Is that really the first time you'd ever heard that?
The only time I ever heard that is in Mallrats, because when I Google it, the clip of Jason Mewes saying it pops up. So now in my head, I'm laughing at both of them. I'm imagining Jason Mewes yelling that at a WCW show, which oddly works. You put Jay and Silent Bob and WCW.
Yeah, I can't find it. It's not coming up, and I'm looking for it right now.
But now, while I was looking for it and kind of zoned out, I heard you guys talk about Darby. I like Darby, but when you've got, I compared to what MVP said after last week when he told Max that he hoped he didn't win the world title. And he's like, "Are you that mad at me?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Because that's personal. Because if you win the world title, Bobby Lashley's coming for you. And he's going to kill you." And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand what the guys that turned into mega stars like your Dean Malenko's, your Eddie Guerrero's, your Jericho's, Benoit's, that turned into superstars, that talked about how pigeonholed they got under that cruiserweight moniker, and it took them so long to get out. And I see that side of it. But when you got a guy, and I mean, 160 pounds tops in Darby Allin, and then you've got people on the other side of, take anybody, Lance Archer, Wardlow when he comes back, Bobby Lashley.
Mox is huge.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You cannot tell me. I mean, now in a street fight, if you want to give him a street fight every time, anything's possible. Hit you with something, use the chloroform like he's been using while pretending to use with chloroform, whatever. There's ways to get around that in a street fight, but it's like, you always like the fights you see with the big guy versus the little guy. The little guy is fast as shit. He's getting them jabs in. It looks like he's winning the fight, and then all of a sudden the big guy just gets a hold of him. And there she goes. That's the end of it. And that's kind of where I see Darby. I agree with you. Put the TNT title on him. Put one of those titles on him. You cannot make him your face of the company and your main champion.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say face of the company and your main champion. I could argue are different, but I totally know what you're saying. Yeah, and
you can't. He just he's got something, but it's not enough to carry a brand.
Now we'll go back in the annals of history, and you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. But you take Sean Waltman, as a 1, 2, 3 kid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was bigger than Darby is now, but Sean, he was never Scott Hall size.
I think Sean is a little bit boring compared to Darby, considering when you look back and watch a lot of Sean's work, it's a little.
That's
Sean
not
now gets made fun of.
Yeah,
for doing
kind of. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So there's a little
but my point on it is like when he beat Razor Ramon,
mm-hmm.
when he caught him off guard.
Oh, 1, 2, 3 kid. Yeah.
When he caught him, he hadn't grown into his body yet. He never got, Scott Hall size, but he put on some muscle weight and looked a lot better than he did as the 1, 2, 3 kid or the Kamikaze kid or the Lightning kid or whatever, whatever damn names he had there.
Or the size of those kids that are in NXT. They look like high school students. They're some sort of vanity something, I think. Vanity Project. There's some sort of faction in NXT.
Oh,
they look like they're high school kids.
But my point on it is like something like that. Something like that's very feasible. Scott Hall as Razor Ramon was playing with his food as MVP. Will tell them stop playing with your food, and he's kind of pushing him around or whatever, and then the kid moved when he came in and kind of stunned him for a second. And he got up, did the moonsault, caught him off guard. 1, 2, 3. Razor's pissed. He finally gets his rematch. And, he's just beating the ever-loving dog shit out of him. Not letting up. Relentless. And he's telling him, just quit. Just quit. No. And he kept kicking out everything. Kicked out of the Razor's Edge, kicked out of this, that, and the other. And that's when they wound up that's how they put him together. Razor finally just, he leaned down, took his hand. He said, "You're all right, kid. Come on." Picked him up and took him to the back. But the way the kid beat him the one time is believable. You can't have somebody that size back in those days or now somebody Darby size and make it believable week after week after week after week after week.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it.
I can think of one way you can do it, but it's like you're riding a very specific line. And that's so hard because I've seen it in New Japan. They have an open weight belt, and that's supposed to be an opportunity for some of the smaller guys to fight the bigger guys. And the only time it works is if you have a bigger guy who's like a heel and is lazy, and the whole point is they cheat because they just don't want to work. That works because the babyface can outwork them. You know what I mean? They can outrun them. They can run them up and get through. But if it's a heavyweight that has some credibility, like Spike Dudley is never beating Mark Henry. Ever.
He was the giant killer, man. Come on
ever. Now. Hey, I like giant killer gimmicks, but it's got to be the right person, that right kind of energy, that right moment.
Uh-huh.
And this will tell you about those shocking moments. Everybody, that's been watching for a while, they either remember the 1, 2, 3 kid and Razor Ramon, or they've heard about it. Then you fast forward to WCW after Hall and Nash have come in, and the NWO's run its main course. They're still around, but they've run its main course. And then Kevin Nash is out there messing with all the cruiserweights and stuff. And then Rey Mysterio catches him in a roll up and got the 1, 2, 3. But what happened the following week?
He drew him into the trailer, made him a
No, that was way at the beginning. This was when they were starting to give Ray a push. But the following week, Nash beat the ever-loving dog shit out of it. Nobody remembers that because that's what what looks.
That's
like.
The boring part. Yeah.
But
you don't remember the heel. You don't remember the heat of a match.
Yeah, the one time Ray caught the 7-footer off guard and rolled him up, got to 1, 2, 3. Everybody that was watching WCW, they remember that. They can't tell you about the ass whooping Ray took the following week. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Like I say, it just can't be. You can't have Rey Mysterio go out there back in the 90s when he was still trying to make a name for himself in the U.S. and beat Kevin Nash and Sid Vicious and Hulk Hogan and, all the, week after week. It's not going to work. It wouldn't work then. It wouldn't work now. And, kind of talking about this rolling it all around. I really like the way TNA did the X Division title when they first came in, because it was a style. It wasn't a weight class. And I really, because they had
type of match.
Because they had seen how they had, a lot of those guys that were there and some that weren't, but it had, their buddies were there, saw how the cruiserweight title pigeonholed those guys for a while, and they had to work their way out of it. They saw what that did. So they, no weight limit X Division, you fly around, this is your title. And, we're talking about the counter programming. It did not pan out well for TNA. They never got the run that WCW did, but they tried to go head to head with everything.
Oh yeah, that's a story in itself with Hogan and Bischoff again.
But but what I was getting to with that is, so yes, Vince started it in the 80s, and then it come back and Turner doing it to him in the 90s, and then TNA tried to do it. So it's a wrestling business, man, and I think competition is good. The only time that I ever argued against competition was when they moved NXT, and people were like, oh, Dynamite was beating NXT, they had to move. If that's the victory you want when you've got Mox and you've got Jericho and you've got the Elite and all those on your show, and on this show that you're jumping up and down doing backflips that you beat, or a lot of people that they really hadn't heard of. I mean, if that's your claim to fame, take it. I mean, it wasn't like you were beating a show that had Roman Reigns and John Cena and Seth Rollins, whoever that you want to throw in there. That's not who you beat. You beat a bunch of rookies. So, I mean, if that's the victory you want to stand on it. I ain't gonna argue it.
I'm going to say that any episode of AEW that has Kyle Fletcher on it is immediately better than anything WWE could ever do. And I just mean that in a joking way, because I love Kyle Fletcher.
I love Kyle
Kyle Fletcher is sickeningly, disgustingly good as a heel.
He's honestly one of the best purchases that they've got from New Japan, because he was young and he was fresh and no one really knew about him when he was in Aussie Open. And I think one of them got hurt. I think Mark Davis got hurt. Yeah. So they said, well, Kyle, what are we going to do with you? And Kyle just put his sunglasses on and said, watch this. And he drove off into the sunset.
There you go.
But yeah, see, that's where I think that's where they dropped the ball with him. I mean, I know they're still doing stuff with him, but I've said this before to you guys. When the Owen came around, that's when, him and Ospreay hadn't had their rematch yet. And he beat Ospreay that first time. And the way they had those brackets lined up, it was lined up perfectly for Ospreay and Fletcher to meet, and Ospreay to get his win back and then go on to challenge for the world title. And then they threw dipshit Page in there that had to fuck the whole thing up. And, so I don't know. I mean, they've come back around with him. They gave him the TNT title. I'm not real sure why they put it on Dustin, knowing he had to have 2 knee surgeries.
I think that was more of a surprise, to be fair. I think the plan was Dustin, and then...
Well, I mean, I don't mind them putting it on him, but from what I've heard, and again, it's a wrestling business. You don't know what to believe, what not to, but that everybody knew that he had sometime soon he was going to have to go out and have double knee surgery.
Oh, okay, fair. I didn't know that. So if they knew that, yeah.
Well, again, how it's a wrestling business. You don't know how true shit is, but that's been the story, that before that they knew he was about to go out and have double knee surgery, and Tony put the title on him. Okay, it's a feel good story, but. So now we let him have it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was, take it off of him so he can go have his surgery. And you also got to, what are we going to do? I don't know how long. Double knee surgery sound like he's going to be gone a while. And so now you got the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles that he was 1/3 of, and you got the Ring of Honor tag team titles that he was with Sammy Guevara. So what do you do with all those? You going to make him drop the titles? Just drop the titles, or let Sammy come out and say, hey, my partner's hurt. Management, let me pick this guy. So we got to defend.
I have an idea. Hear me out. We start Dustin Rhodes 6-man invitational tournament, and you do trios tournament, and you just call it Dustin Rhodes, and then you just let it ride. So you have the Owen Hart stuff, you have the Dustin Rhodes stuff, it's an option, because that, you know what I mean? If I have to give up these belts, what do I get in return? Well, you can have this. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but it might not be the worst idea. Give him something like that.
I don't know, man. We
bad.
the Lucha Libre stuff's coming up. Triplemania is coming up. Are you going to watch that, Paul?
Well, this is the first I've been hearing about it, so
It's going to be on the WWE YouTube channel on.
okay, so from what I know, this is a very lucha thing. Everything's on YouTube, and then there's paywalls of levels of YouTube to watch.
Well, the way WWE's advertising, it's supposed to be completely free on their YouTube channel. Is the way they're advertising it. And Dominic, it's a 4-way. Vikingo is defending against Dominic and 2 others for the AAA title. He was another one. Everybody was so high on Vikingo when he was coming into AEW, and man, he took his clothes off with his entrance gear off. I'm like, oh, that's a little dude. He's just a little guy. Damn, I think he's smaller than Darby, to be quite honest with you.
To be fair, a lot of the lucha guys are on the smaller side. It's a little bit rare that you get Hechicero, those big, massive.
And I know the WWE from it's been documented on a lot of different sites how high they are on Mystery Iguana. I'm like, look at this dude, man.
Apparently he got heat too, so apparently they're not high on him anymore or something like that.
No, they brought him in. He's been on two shows in the last 3 weeks. They brought him and God, who's the guy he was tagging with?
I remember he said something so benign too. It was a podcast, and they're like, "Well, how do you feel about AAA?" And he's like, "Well, we're the best wrestlers in the world. Like all these people around me are some of the greatest." And apparently that got him heat backstage in WWE because he said they were the best, and it's like he's putting over his company that he's in. Of course, that's what he's gonna say.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's because of this or. He's just taking a long extended break. But right after Jericho dropped the title of Bandito, he was doing somebody's podcast, and he didn't shit on AEW at all. He's always been AEW. But somebody asked him the question, and it might have been Chris Van Fleet. I don't know. You can look it up, but it was a very nonchalant question. They just asked him, could he see himself back in WWE to finish out his career? And he just yeah, anything's possible. I can definitely see me going back and, for a final, 3-6 month run or whatever. And apparently,
they never.
And apparently Tony got mad as hell, and we ain't seen him on TV since then. So, like I said, is it coincidence or is it real heat? I mean, you don't know.
You know what it reminds me of? It's an odd story. There was Mick Foley goes to the ECW and he cuts this promo. And he's got this WCW belt.
Tag title, and he threw it down.
He spits on it, and he throws it down. He goes, none of these titles mean anything because this guy hurt my pride. He cut this really good promo. But all anybody saw was the throwing of the belt down.
Title, yeah.
And it was like, you're mad at him for cutting a sick promo? No, you're mad because he's great, and you need to poke to, you know what I mean, to be mad at stuff. That's what I think. It's just some people are haters. So... That's a totally generic answer. Hey, Chris Jericho, do you see something happening? Sure, why not? Harmless.
Right, let's go to a lighter one. I don't know if it's a lighter.
Okay.
Get ready for your Japanese match, and then we'll do whatever part of the draft you want to do here in a second. All right, Danny, you ready for your favorite part today in pro wrestling history? 47 years ago today, Moondog Lonnie tragically passed away at just 33 years of age from old injuries sustained in a car wreck. Kofi Kingston is 44 today. And 14 years ago, SummerSlam was at the Staples Center, and in the main event, CM Punk defeated John Cena to determine the undisputed WWE champion. If anybody remembers that gimmick, that was when Punk beat Cena and left with the title, and Cena, they did a tournament to determine a new champion. Cena, of course, won. When he was cutting his promo the next night on Raw, we hear for the first time Cult of Personality. All right. 26 years ago, WCW presented the 4th and final Road Wild from Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. What was on this card? Oh, ain't that good. Okay. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. He was one of my favorites back in the day. He would have been 64 years old today. Beautiful Bobby Eaton was born on this day in 1958. Part of my favorite tag team of all time in the Midnight Express. both incarnations. I thought Stan and Bobby were better, but I did like Dennis. Bob Backlund turned 76 years old today. And let's see, here you go, Paul. Here's your Canadian history. 25 years ago today on Monday Nitro in British Columbia, a very patriotic show for Canadian fans. Ontario-born Lance Storm entered the night already holding the U.S. title, the Cruiserweight title, and the Hardcore title. After defeating Mike Awesome, thanks to help from his fellow Canadians, Storm officially formed Team Canada.
And that's my favorite team because if I remember correctly, it had Jim Duggan in it, but I could be confusing it with the TNA version.
No, Duggan was in the WCW version, but I like the TNA version better with Bobby Roode and Eric Young and Scott D'Amore. But that was
it's always been a great gimmick because even was it the Hearts were basically Team Canada, the
Hart Foundation with Brian.
Yeah, it was, and the Bulldog who wasn't Canadian, but whatever, Commonwealth.
Johnny Gargano, he's 38 today. Damn, he's still alive. Bobby Duncombe turns 81 today. I didn't realize he was still living.
I remember Bobby Duncombe when I was a kid.
19 years ago today, Lita defeated Mickie James on Raw to win her third women's championship. And then her and Edge interfered. Edge was interfering and helping Lita retain this victory. This victory made them the first couple in WWE history to hold the champion, both men's and women's championships simultaneously. Ava, the current general manager of NXT, and The Rock, she's getting up there, man. She turns 24 today. And then one more for Paul here. 20 years ago today, the final of New Japan Pro Wrestling's 2005 G1 Climax saw Masahiro Chono defeat, and I can't even pronounce that one, Kazuka Fujita, maybe?
Fujita, yep, that's a pronoun.
To capture his fifth G1 Climax tournament victory. I like Chono.
Chono's, oh my God, there's like... that's a great period. Like there's a couple kind of death spiral periods of New Japan, but every so often you get to the end of the G1 finals and you're like, this is phenomenal wrestling. This really is.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows I like Muda, but yeah, Chono, I did enjoy Chono as well. So,
I mean, like he was no Onita, but the joke is that Onita's a deathmatch wrestler. Yes,
that'll lead us right into your what Japanese match you got for us.
Okay, so it's really hard to pick one because the G1 Climax is coming to an end. So what I would suggest, if anyone will take my advice, is
do we have the final set yet, or
okay? So we are looking at the last 6 or 4. I haven't caught up today. But basically, yeah, out of the whole tournament, depending on who wins, there's 6 remaining people. So there's going to be 3 matches before to hit the finals. So I would recommend to anyone check out the finals of the G1. Like literally, you can search it up, the finals of the G1. It'll most likely be named. But highly recommend these matches. This is the pinnacle of a 1.5 month round robin tournament. And our boy, well, some people's boys, Takeshita is still in the running. Like he's right at the top. So if you're a big fan of him, his matches have been great so far, and his matches are only going to get better if he makes it to the finals.
And to give somebody some context on Jim Cornette and Takeshita, if you listen to Cornette, he gives everybody a nickname, and he likes Takeshita. Believe it or not, he really does. However, for how long has Takeshita been in AEW now?
2 years,
yeah.
and a half.
However long it's been, he did not care for his first couple of matches. It took him a little while to warm up to him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he, had a couple of mistakes or whatever. I don't remember back there for, but ever since then, he's called Takeshita Take a Shit. He's like, and here comes Take a Shit with a clothesline.
To be fair, everyone was confused when Takeshita debuted because that's not how you pronounce that name in Japanese. But apparently they had a big meeting and said, can we call this person Takeshita? And is that going to hurt this person? And everyone went, yes, it's going to hurt this person. America will not take this seriously. So that's why if you go to Japan, Takeshita is pronounced differently than Takashita, and it's you know what I mean? For him, it's different. It's kind of a fun little flair, but they specifically said we're not calling him by the actual pronunciation. So I think some of those take a shit jokes, while a bit tee are also a little. They saw this coming. They knew, you know what I mean? It's like teenagers. They knew they were going to make this, so it is a bit disappointing when I hear it. But it's Jim Cornette. Like,
well,
I know,
and it goes back to what Jeff Jarrett said about him. About his, if he likes something, his audience is going to check it, and if he hates something, his audience, more of his audience is going to go watch it just to see if it was really that bad. Yeah, Jeff was funny. Jeff's like, Jimmy, you keep doing what you're doing, brother. I appreciate you.
And it's like, honestly, I think Takeshita, I believe he's like 30 or under 30. Like, he's still ridiculously young. This guy is going to be the upcoming generation's Kenny Omega. He's going to be the upcoming generation Shawn Michaels. And everyone knows
Kenny Omega is Kenny Olivier. And I can't remember what he called. I can't remember what he calls Matt Jackson, but he calls Nick Jackson Balding Book.
I think I liked when I had a buddy who called Matt my back, because Matt Jackson sold his back for 8 years. Like, it was so every time it was like it was Nick and my back.
Yeah, Takeshita is 30. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh, young, good looking, good health. I think I did notice that he had a match with Gabe Kidd, and Gabe Kidd got injured during that match. And you can see a bit of frustration on Takeshita, because it's like, it might not be his fault. It might just be a weird landing. It happens. But when you're in the ring with someone who gets hurt, you take that personally. You know what I mean? Like, I was entrusted with this person and I fucked up. So you could see him after wrestling Gabe Kidd. There was a bit of, not hesitancy, but you could kind of see that he was in his head. Like, loosen up. It's okay. And then when he did, some of the best matches.
Yeah, D'Lo Brown's actually talked about that with Jim Ross after he paralyzed Draws. And he said that he was actually ready to retire, that he did not want to step foot back in the ring. And he said, Jim Ross, he goes, God bless Jim Ross, because if it had been for him, I would not have gotten back in the ring. He said, Jim looked at me, he set me down. He said, you got a lot of talent. You're not a hateful person. You didn't do it on purpose. And he goes, yes, Draws will never wrestle again, and we're going to make sure he's taken care of. He said, but the real tragedy would be here. He said, what's that? He goes, if we lost 2 careers instead of just 1. And he said, he got kind of hit me. He goes, so I went out there, and from that day forward, and not only wrestled for me, but I wrestled for Darren as well. And he goes, and I made damn sure I took care of people. And, so now that kind of stuff sticks with you, man.
Here's a little fun anecdote from class. In wrestling class, we were having a big multi-man, and it was like a big schmoz finish. We're just practicing stuff. And Buddy does a combo on me, hit me in the corner, do the move, 1, 2, 3. And I just sold it like death. Like, I let my eyes roll. I just caved, didn't react at all. And 1, 2, 3, he's like, yeah. And he looks down at me, and he immediately grabs my hand. He's like, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm just selling. He's like, oh my God, thank God. For that half second, he felt bad, because he thought, oh, I've planted this guy and he's actually hurt. But meanwhile, I was exhausted. Wrestling's so tiring. So I'm just on the ground dying. Meanwhile, he thought he gave me a concussion or something. It's just the way it is, right? Like, it borderline's real and fake, and you just panic in that moment and go, oh crap, I hurt my friend. But I hear Gabe Kidd's okay, because he's showing up at Forbidden Door, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's supposed to be that supposed to be Claudio, Gabe, Moxley, and the Bucks against whatever.
If I remember correctly, he landed weird on a knee, and it was like the Seth Rollins injury, but real. I think he just came down like a drop kick, and something was underneath him, and so I think hopefully he should be okay. He's super young too. Who knows what's out there for these guys, especially at their talent level at this age. That's ridiculous.
All right, Paul, what do you want to do with this draft, man?
Well, we can kick those guys to the curb and stick Danny in now, or we've already gone half an hour. We can just say, it's a bit late in the night. We can save it for next week.
Yeah, we can say, I'll tell you, Danny, you gonna be able to make it next week?
Next week, yeah.
All right. So this is what we need from you. Paul, explain to her what we're doing.
Okay, so we're using the Forbidden Door concept, but we're expanding it to all companies. So everybody's going to draft. We're just going to take turns drafting one person at a time.
Okay.
And all the people that you draft, you have to come up with your version of Forbidden Door card. So on my Google Keep, I have a series of matches I've written out with the competitors.
Okay.
And those are the people that I'm going to be going for. Hopefully, if I get X and Y, I can put this card together. So what I'm hoping is if we all come prepared and we all have a list, we can just and shoot through this, because drafting 30 people could take a long time. So I'm hoping we come prepared, we know what we're doing, and I will spice it up with every couple rounds. We can now pick a tag team, or now it's a trio. So I'll see what we can do to make it kind of go quicker. But yeah, that's the plan so far, is what is the potentially ultimate version of Forbidden Door that we would like to present. I think the version I have might be different than the version you would like to present. And I think there might be a little bit of charm in that. Because, not to spoil anything, but this is not someone I'm drafting. I'm not looking for Mr. Iguana. So if you're the type of person that thinks Mr. Iguana should be on Forbidden Door, let's hear it. Let's go for it. I want to, because I did hear that Mr. Iguana versus Santino Marella was a hell of a match.
Well, and what we did last week, Danny, we all took one person for our first round draft pick, and Paul's got a list of those. I know who I took. I took Swerve Strickland, and Paul, was it you that took CM Punk?
No, okay, so Connor.
No, you took John Cena.
Yes, Connor took
Punk, and Meaty took Braun Breaker.
Yes.
So those are the four that's off the table. Who would you like your number one draft pick to be?
Oh, I can do my 4 now.
No, no. That was we all got one apiece last week, so we got to give you your first round draft pick.
My first one.
Just
think
one.
of it as your captain.
That way you're called up. Yeah, that way you're called up when we come back next week.
Okay, so Punk.
No, Connor took Punk.
Oh.
I'll run it down for you real quick. Connor took Punk.
Okay.
Meaty took Braun Breaker.
Okay.
Paul took John Cena.
Okay.
And I took Swerve Strickland.
Any company we can do.
Any company.
I mean, you can even pick.
All gas, no brakes.
What's that?
All gas, no brakes.
Oh, you want Jacob, huh? All right.
I love Jacob.
The Samoan werewolf is off the table.
It's Jacob Fatu, right?
Yeah, Jacob Fatu.
He's starting to grow on. He is really growing on me.
Well, they said, I mean, it was, he was signed for like 3 or 4 months before they ever put him on TV. And it was widely known the reason they had not put him out there yet was because they knew he was going to overshadow Solo. And he did immediately from the beginning. And especially once he started, he was so good with that. I love you, Solo.
His facials are great too. Cause
I know he
looks like he wants to murder you. And it's like,
he really does.
I don't like WWE acting because I find it too phony and playful. He looks like he's not acting.
Exactly. That's why I said he just when what was it? The one where they accused him of running over, who was it? Somebody, I don't remember who it was. Solo. And he just gets out of the car. He's just was like this. I mean, the guy is a legit badass.
Yeah. One of the funniest things I saw during that before they split them up was this dude that I was scrolling through, your FYP picks up shit you look at all the time. And I was scrolling through TikTok at 3:00 in the morning, whatever it was one night. And this guy comes up, he's got this serious face with it, looking into his phone. He's like, I'm either going to have to cut WWE out of my home or they need to fire Jacob Fatu, one of the two, because this is all I hear anymore and I can't stand it anymore. and it cuts to his like little girl. She looks like she's like 4 or 5 years old. I love you so, and I about lost it. I was like, oh, that's great. That's just great.
I love it.
So, but yeah, I'm definitely very high on Mr. Fatu as well. And, from everything I've seen, the behind the scenes stuff he does, the out of character interviews, man, he just seems like a fun loving, good dude, man. He messed up early in life, learned his lesson, and is very grateful and thankful for where he's at now. So
it's very strange that you would have, usually you have a morale talent. Like you hire someone who's not the best wrestler because the roster love him. Everyone loves them. They're just fun to have around and makes people feel better. Rarely is that person Jacob Fatu, who has immense talent. Usually it's someone like Virgil, where there's not a lot of talent there. You know what I mean? He's fun to have around in the back. He's a laugh, not in the ring. But now that person is Jacob Fatu, and they can go out there and beat the tar out of people. And I think that's what makes wrestling special. Because, yeah, every behind-the-scenes video, he looks like a locker room leader in the way that you want. You don't have an authoritarian. This is a person who loves wrestling and is excited to wrestle and loves everyone there and is happy to be there. And it's like, that's a leader. That's a role model in the best, most positive way. Because you're not showing up being a dick. You're not showing up putting people down. Did you ever see the video with him and Boogeyman? This is like a 30-year-old that could murder me with his bare hands. And he's like, I got a video with the Boogeyman.
Now, going to the Samoans and everything, they I don't know if it's WWE using him wrong or just he didn't live up to the hype, but that's Hikuleo. Hikuleo's come in and he just looks clumsy to me.
I don't know why people are
really
mad at Hikuleo. He got so good. Okay, to be fair, when he was in New Japan and people were saying he was really good, he was teamed up with El Fantasmo, who, for people who don't know, is a bit more of a flippy boy. So you have a flippy boy and the big guy. So they can work well together. ELP can sell. He can do all the high spots, build up the heat, tag in the big guy choke slam, leg drop, whatever. But I thought Hikuleo was doing fantastic with the matches they were giving him and the workload that he was giving. And then they ship him off to NXT and they said, oh, he's not good. Okay, I just want to emphasize something because I've been training for a couple of years. Hikuleo went to New Japan and was a young lion for like 4 years. He completed the program and they said, you're not good enough. So we're sending you to LA with Shibata. He was out there for 4 years. Not good enough. Send him back to Japan, put him with a bunch of stuff, make him work a bunch. He's starting to get over. Oh, he goes to WWE. Oh, you're not good enough. Down to NXT. You're training there for a couple of years. Now, it's like, this guy's been training for 12 years and he's still not good enough. What, like, sometimes these stories are disheartening because, well, one, he's a pretty good wrestler. And two, what chance do I have as a wrestler?
Well, if you and this is not, like I said, I haven't seen enough of his work. That's why I was asking, because he has just looked very clumsy on WWE TV.
I could see the style change messing with him. And it's like when he left New Japan, he finally had lost that clumsiness. He really had come into himself physically and was starting to do things that worked for him. But yeah, I could totally see them going, you're not doing that move. You're not doing that move. You're not doing that move.
Well, I mean, it could be nerves too. I mean, you got, besides being on what's considered the big leagues by a lot of, not just the fans, but by a lot of the professionals as well. And then you've got, the family to live up to. So, I mean, it could be the pressure. It could be a combination of things, but you'll never know. And Danny has now made her draft pick with Jacob Fatu. She's even with the rest of us, and we will see if no, I have not seen much of his work. That's why I just said that. But thank you for jumping in. Kind of think I said that, but might be WWE or
I might have been lagging on the comment, to be fair. He was never good on the mic, from what I remember. He never had that kind of charisma, but he was okay in the ring. He's a giant.
I'd heard a lot of good things about him, but I hadn't seen anything, and all I've seen is what WWE's done with him, and it ain't like they've never fumbled the ball with anybody else, right?
Well, Jason Mateo, Bronson Reed, like there's There's a few stories of they saw someone in New Japan. Let's bring them in. What do we do with this bruiser of a heavyweight? We don't really,
Well, at some point this week, I'm going to take that clip and I'm going to just rip the audio out of it, and I'm going to put "Fly Fat Ass Fly" on a Bronson Reed video, and I'm going to send it out to everybody. So that's something you had to look forward to. I would love to find the actual video of Mark Madden swimming in that damn Hawaiian shirt, him and his 350-pound ass looking. Nobody said they were dropping the ball with Bronson Reed, man. You got to catch up. But I'd love to see.
Okay,
Mark.
So they might have been quoting me because I would say they might be dropping the ball because I saw him somewhere else and then seeing. So that might be directed at me.
I heard he did a great work as Jonah in a few different places.
He did fantastic work as Jonah. Like, yeah, no, I think there might be lag in the comments. That's why it's.
He called you pale.
I am pale. Do you want to see the inside of my thighs? Oh my god, dude! When I stand on the beach.
Danny, you go ahead and take that out. I'll turn my back, and y'all let me know when you're done. Oh, dear God. Okay, on that note, we have ranted and we have went all over the place, and this is what happens when Connor's not here to reel us back in and talk CM Punk for 2 hours.
Is this a boil or a mole?
Okay, are you really doing a Ross Geller? It's the episode of Friends when he showed people his it was called The One with Ross's Thing. So now we have Ross Paul playing the part of Ross Geller. Thank you very much in this 30-second clip of Friends that's live.
All right, well, on that note, I'll leave you with this. We will see what is this, Thursday? So tomorrow night at some point, no, we got to wait till Monday. Well, they might show up. You never know. Possibly tomorrow night, but if not tomorrow night, definitely Monday. We will all be able to scream in unison while watching Monday Night Raw. Fly, fat ass, fly. We'll see you later. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to find a video or